In a country long marked by racial division, especially in housing and urban planning, a quiet transformation is underway. While many major cities still wrestle with the legacy of redlining and inclusionary zoning, some places are making progress towards integration. Among these are a few standout cities where racial lines blur more freely and where Black communities are growing within inclusive, multi-ethnic urban fabrics. We recently did a video why Chicago is the most segregated big city in America. And today we will look at the 5 biggest cities with fairly low segregation index. Hi, my name is Jared and I talk about, as you guys know, interesting stories and trends in Black culture. Because Black culture is so interesting to me and it should be that interesting to you. If you share my interest, hit that subscribe button and let's deep dive into some interesting Black culture and history in every episode. There are a couple things we look at to qualify these big cities. For one, they had to be considered big cities and not a tiny town somewhere off the beaten path. 2, the Black population there had to be at least 13% to match the national number. And lastly, the segregation index had to be lower than 50%. As a reference, according to the 2020 census, Chicago's segregation index is right around 80. That means that about 80% of Black residents would need to relocate to different neighborhoods to achieve an even distribution with white residents across the city. And as we talked about many times before, the problem with segregation is not that Black people are not living next door to white people. The problem is where white people live is mostly where the resources and opportunities are in comparison to where Black people live. You might think that segregation is a problem of the past and all neighborhoods are pretty much equal now. But no, segregation is a problem of the past and present. So let's get to the list of our cities. Starting in what some people argue is the South and others say is the Midwest. Oklahoma City, Oklahoma. Oklahoma City has quietly emerged as a leader in urban integration, particularly when compared to deeply segregated cities like Chicago and Milwaukee. It has avoided some of the stark racial divides that plague older metropolitan areas, partly due to its newer urban development and sprawling geography. Historically, Oklahoma's Black population surged around the Civil War, as many African Americans migrated to what was then Indian Territory in hopes of land ownership and safety. Towns like Boley and Langston, historically Black towns, are testaments to this migration. In more recent decades, Oklahoma City's moderate housing costs, expanding economy, and decentralized urban layout has fostered more mixed neighborhoods. New developments often featured more inclusive zoning practices, and community organizations have advocated for racial equality in schooling and infrastructure investment. Today, Oklahoma City's Black middle class is growing, with many families moving into integrated neighborhoods in the northwest and southern parts of the city. The Black population in Oklahoma City is 13.8%, and the segregation index here is under 50, which is considered low. Side note, can one of you guys answer in the comments, is Oklahoma in the South or the Midwest? I always thought it was in the South, at least culturally, but I get comments correcting me all the time. So if you guys could clear this up, that would be great. At number 2, we have Long Beach, California. Long Beach, a coastal city in the Los Angeles metro area, is a striking example of how diversity and integration can coexist. The city has long been a melting pot, with substantial Black, Latino, Cambodian, and white communities living in relatively close proximity. The roots of Long Beach's Black community date back to World War II, when many African Americans moved west for defensive jobs. Unlike in Los Angeles, Long Beach never developed massive segregated enclaves. Instead, its neighborhoods remained smaller and more fluid, aided by the port city's transient labor economy. One key factor in Long Beach's integration is the civil focus on inclusive housing policies. The city has actively invested in mixed income housing, anti-displacement programs, and culturally responsive education. Moreover, local leadership, often representative of the city's diversity, has prioritized equity in policy, education, and public health. Neighborhoods like Bixby Knolls, Central Long Beach, and North Wrigley show how racial lines have blurred, with multi-ethnic businesses, schools, and housing developments coexisting. Long Beach is currently 13% Black, and the segregation index is estimated to be below 45. Compare that to LA's index of 74. At number 3, we have Las Vegas, Nevada. Las Vegas is not just a playground for tourists, it's also a city of transplants, many of whom bring fewer entrenched attitudes about race and class. That, combined with rapid urban expansion, has made Las Vegas one of the most integrated cities in America. The black population in Las Vegas grew significantly during the 1990s and 2000s, driven by job opportunities in hospitality, construction, and the service sector. While discrimination in housing once kept black families concentrated in West Las Vegas, these barriers began to break down in the 1990s with increased home ownership opportunities and police reform. Las Vegas's growth-oriented economy allowed for expansive housing developments that didn't follow historical patterns of redlining. School integration has also improved, with magnet and charter schools often drawing diverse student bodies. The Las Vegas metro area is almost 13% black, and the segregation index here is 37, which is the lowest on this list. At number 4, we have Charleston, North Charleston, Summerville, a South Carolina metro area. Charleston's history is deeply intertwined with America's racial story. Once a major port in the transatlantic slave trade, the city still bears the architectural and cultural marks of its antebellum past. Yet, in recent decades, Charleston and its suburbs have seen a shift towards more integrated living. Historically, black Charlestonians were relegated to segregated neighborhoods or rural areas. But urban revitalization and the spread of suburban development have changed these dynamics. The North Charleston and Summerville areas have become especially integrated, offering affordable housing, quality schools, and mixed-use developments. Local leadership has focused on racial reconciliation through investment in black-owned businesses, public memorials like the International African American Museum, and community dialogue. While gentrification remains a concern in downtown Charleston, many black families are finding new opportunities in suburban neighborhoods. Community organizations such as the Charleston Area Justice Ministry advocate for equitable housing and policing policies, helping to bridge racial divides and create pathways for integrated growth. The Charleston metro area is 26% black with a segregation index of 41.5. At number 5, we have Raleigh-Cary, North Carolina metro area. The Research Triangle, comprising Raleigh, Durham, and Chapel Hill, has long been a hub for innovation and education. Raleigh in particular has become a model for managed growth and integration. A robust tech economy anchored by companies like IBM and Cisco has drawn professionals of all races, contributing to an educated and diverse populace. Raleigh's black community has deep roots, especially around historic black colleges like Shaw University and St. Augustine's. In the mid-20th century, Raleigh was home to the important civil rights efforts, and its legacy of black civil leadership continues today. Affordable housing initiatives, inclusive school zoning, and anti-discrimination ordinances have helped foster integration. Neighborhoods like Southeast Raleigh have seen demographic diversification without the displacement that often accompanies gentrification. Public transportation improvements and investment in mixed-use development have also contributed to breaking down geographic barriers. Raleigh's emphasis on education, innovation, and inclusivity have created a city where racial integration is definitely possible. The black population here is 20% with a segregation index of 42. These 5 cities each offer unique lessons in what urban integration can look like. None are perfect, and all still face challenges related to equity, education, and wealth disparity. However, they prove that segregation is not inevitable. Several common threads unite them. These cities grew rapidly in the latter half of the 20th century, avoiding some of the entrenched segregation found in older northern metros. Decentralized development sprawl and suburbanation, often critiqued for environmental reasons, have ironically contributed to integration by diffusing populations across new housing developments. Diverse economies, a stronger labor market in industrials like tech, hospitality, and logistics has attracted multiracial populations. Cities that proactively pursued inclusive zoning, equitable education, and anti-discrimination policies saw more integrated outcomes. As Americans continue to grapple with the legacy of systematic racism, these cities light a possible path forward. Through intentional planning, community engagement, and inclusive policy making, they show that integration isn't just ideal, it's a lived reality for many. So let me know your thoughts on these cities. Do you live in any of them? What's been your experience? As always, let's start a dialogue. You know that I'll be reading your comments and responding. See you guys on the next one.